yeah, baby, Airsoft World Champion back here again with another crazy video. You know, a little compare and contrast sort of thing for Turbo Tuesdays. Okay, you know me, I love the Turbografx-16. Yeah, here I got a poster right here. I also love the Sega Master System. And the cool thing about Sega and NEC and their Turbografx-16 is that they weren't always rivals. Like, I know in the 16-bit era, Sega hated Nintendo, NEC hated Sega, and it was a whole big war, but sometimes they did manage to get along. Can't we all just get along? And yeah, sometimes you'll see a Sega game on the Turbografx-16 and vice versa. And there are exceptions to every rule, but let me show you a few examples and why there's still a lot of love to be had in the world and why we can buy multiple consoles and not feel bad about it. That sort of thing. Okay, let's start with Space Harrier, a Sega arcade classic. You know, you're this guy in the air and you're shooting down, I don't know, different dragons and stuff. It's nice, simple arcade action, and on the Sega Master System, it does an okay job. Like, the 3D is definitely not as good as the arcade one, but hey, what do you expect? But hey, it's a lot nicer on the Turbografx-16, of course. And check out that killer artwork. Yeah, if you saw the artwork on the arcade cabinet itself, it looks a lot like this. Where the Sega Master System art, not so good. Neither of them are like true 3D, but the Turbografx-16 does it a bit better. Fantasy Zone. Yep, a Sega classic released in 1986 in the arcades and on the Sega Master System, I believe, in '88. Now, it's pretty much unfair to compare the two because the Turbografx-16 is stronger hardware, so of course it's going to be better and a closer arcade port, as you can say, because it has more colors, you know, faster speeds, and all that spray handling and all that tentacle mumbo jumbo. But yeah, the Turbografx-16 version is a much better port, much cleaner and prettier to look at, and plays great. Sega Master System version though is not too bad either. Now, both great games in their own right, but get the Turbografx-16 version. Yeah, Wonder Boy, and the game I recently got the high score in. Yeah, Dragon's Curse. Now, even though both names are different, they're exactly the same. Yeah, the only difference is that, yeah, NEC, they couldn't use the Wonder Boy name because that's strictly a Sega thing. So the company that produced the game, right here, West One, you know, they have their own alliance, their own company, so they can make a game for any system. Like, they can rename it Adventure Island, they can rename it Dragon's Curse, they can rename it Dynastic Hero, and that's what they did with various other, you know, consoles and all that. And that's why you find Wonder Boy games on other machines. It was made by a company called West One. And this one, it's only password safe, but I don't know. I still have fondness for the Sega Master System version because it came out first, and the Turbografx-16 version actually doesn't make a lot of improvements. Like, you would figure it would do more, like have more additional levels, much better graphics, but it's pretty much a straight port with a slightly better frame rate and some cleaner graphics, but that's it. Ys Book 1 and 2 and the original Ys or Ys or whatever heck you want to call it. There we go. Cool artwork on both of them. Now, yeah, there's definitely no comparison to, yeah, because this one is definitely much better because you get two games in one set. Where this one is based on the first Ys game, this one is a compilation of both Ys Book 1 and 2, so you get two whole games in one set. Where this one, it's just the first story, it ends at Dom's Tower or whatever it is, and yeah, once you defeat Dark Fat or where the hell he wants to call himself, boom, the game ends. But it's still a great game in its own right. Excellent RPG for a Sega Master System, and a hell of a lot harder than the version found on here. But you can also say that this one is much more balanced. Yeah, it's a much better game, plus once you finish it, you go on to a second game, which wasn't released anywhere else practically. Well, it is now on a whole bunch of other consoles, but back then, it was the first time we got a chance to play East 2, which is awesome. Especially when you hear that excellent orchestrated music on the Turbo CD. So it's hard to compare the two. You got Turbo CD versus, 8-bit technology from 1987. Okay, now this game, it's decent. Good arcade action, but it's over way too quick. While this one on the other end is complete and utter dog shit. It's awful. Yeah, everything about this game is just a mess. It's hard to look at, the graphics are muddy, it's hard to control, it's just awful. But I did notice one thing about this version. Yeah, when you face the first boss, he's actually smoking a cigarette. Which I thought was, a nice little touch, because that was actually in the arcades too, where in the Turbografx-16 version, for some reason they took that out. I guess they were trying to squeeze so much content into the game that they just skipped the little things and just focused on everything else. Like garbage control and everything. Yeah, one's a good game, slightly average, while this one is complete garbage. Fortunately, the company that made that room made a much better translation of R-Type for the Sega Master System, so it's a much closer race. Yeah, this one is a better one, very close to the arcade, nearly arcade perfect at times, but this one isn't too bad either, so I recommend you pick them both up. Especially if you can get them cheap, which I did. Yeah, that's just a few examples of some games for the Sega Master System, and some games you can also play on Turbografx-16 too. It's fun to compare and contrast and see how the two systems vary. Yeah, it's just the little things that stand out. Oh, I can't believe they put this one here, or oh, there's an extra level in R-Type on the Sega Master System. Cool. Well, how do I unlock it? Yeah, unfortunately, the secret level in R-Type for the Sega Master System is so secret, you pretty much have to look out for like the strategy guide or go home game packers. I don't know why they made that such a secret level, because that would have been so cool to actually include in the game. Alright, and yeah, there's also some other examples like Afterburner, Shinobi, and Outrun. These games were also released on the PC Engine. The Genesis wasn't doing too well in Japan when it was called the Mega Drive, but yeah, the PC Engine was, selling like gangbusters over there. Where in North America, the Sega Genesis was killing the Turbografx-16. So yeah, it's a weird thing. It's hard to explain. Yeah, in Europe it's probably even worse because the Turbografx-16 was barely released there, while the Sega Genesis was just huge. Why not collect them all? Don't be a hater. Celebrate these cool games that you get on any system. And it's the same thing for Turbografx-16 games, because there's also some games like Bomberman, Bonds Adventure that you can also find on Virtual Nintendo, and vice versa. And maybe I'll cover that later, but right now I just want to focus on the Sega stuff and why it's so cool. Okay, this is Airzone World Champion, over.